themselves, why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? And what is my purpose? We can tell you that it's an easy answer. You came here to make a difference. You came here to make the world a better place with our help, your spirit guides and angels. It's not okay to feel insignificant in your life. Everything you do is part of a larger plan that was set in place before you came here. You don't remember what that plan was because of the amnesia you were assigned upon arrival. So the question is, what is the difference you are supposed to be making? The urge to do something for humanity is strong in most people, especially when they reach middle age. So that would be around middle age, it's people are living a lot longer.
Middle age?
But the guides were really referring to someone starting, in their 30s, mid-30s, going into their 40s, moving into the other part of their life. I mean, by the time you get to that point, you look back at what you've done. You've done everything you were told to do, everything you were supposed to do. You've tried all that out. You've experimented with all that. And you do sit back and go, I know that I'm missing something. I know I'm here for a reason. And that's when you start asking that question. And what difference can I make in this world? That's what happens when we get a little older, like 35 and later. Some people hit that younger. They do. Some people come in with it, all right? So
some people, especially like entrepreneurs, you'd say a tech entrepreneur, a guy or a girl makes it big, and they're multimillionaires by the time they're in their mid-30s,
right,
or 40, and they sell their company,
and they're lost.
Well, no, and now is it? What am I going to do? I have all this money. I can do anything I want, but I really don't know what I want to do because they never gave it any thought. They haven't
had an opportunity to hit that part of their life where the bell goes off, and they go, I don't want to miss why I came here. I got a lucky. There was a lucky streak there. I hit it big. I did really well. I hit that in my 20s. I talk about it in Guided, and then after that, After that, I solved so many questions. I had so many things that were resolved from that experience, from that time in my life, where I got to work a lot of things out. When you have a flush like that, when you hit it like that, you learn a lot about yourself. And it's almost like, in my case, it was where in my late 20s, the second half of my 20s, I felt like I didn't fit into people in my own age group at all, because I had experienced things that my parents had experienced or maybe experienced, So I was way, way ahead of the pack in that way. And that's when it hit me. I knew something was missing. I knew that I was here. There was a bigger plan. And by the time I was 35 years old is when I started taking dream classes. That's when I really stumbled upon why I'm here, and really got moving in that direction that I was being guided to go, all right? So you feel that guidance hit you. It's an urge.
You get back to the entrepreneur that sold their company and had all this money, and they really don't know what to do with it. What do they usually try to do? They usually try to do it again. They usually try to start another company and so they can be successful again. And most of them they're not able to repeat that success, because the first success had a lot to do with being in the right place at the right time, with the right people, and the right amount of startup capital or whatever. But
well, in this world, that's we live in two worlds, you guys, whether we realize it or not. We live in this world, which is the world the illusion, okay, where we physically are right now. Then there's the world that we came from, which is the same world we go back to when we're released from this life, all right? So while we're in this world and that's all we think there is, what Ray just said, that can happen.
It happens more often than not.
You go right back into this cycle without ever wondering or reconnecting with your true self. And what's real interesting is when you bring those two together, it's not about doing this or doing that. It's about doing them together. All right?
Yeah, if you were given a gift, you were given this gift of selling your company and being financially independent so you could make a difference in the world.
Yeah, so you could pursue. Maybe you want to do some philanthropy, maybe of some kind. You know, you've got the money to do it, the time to do it, and something that really touches your heart, something that means something to you. So you came here to make a difference. So what do we have for questions?
We have a very good question from Kathy.
Great, Kathy.
We have Kathy and Veronica and Joy.
You guys.
Kathy says, I know that when we're sent here without memories, so we can learn the lessons we came to learn. But, an important word, but, why do we not at least come here with the memory or knowledge of what our purpose is?
Well, you know, the way the guides, we're going to let the guides talk about that. They've explained that to me. I've asked that question before too, Kathy. That's a great question, all right? So they're going to answer that, and here they go.
What we can tell you is that you came here to make a difference. However, there are many different ways you could make that difference. It's up to you to be drawn to one or another of those possibilities. It wouldn't be a purpose if we told you, go out and do this. It would be a directive, not unlike what your parents would tell you when you were small.
Okay, hold on. So Kathy's question is around
why don't you come in with memories? You come in with the amnesia.
Why do you have to labor through this effort to break through the amnesia that you've been burdened with, that keeps you going, what am I supposed to be doing? It's that type of thing. Why do we stay blinded by this amnesia? So
your question was, at least, why can't we come here with the memory of what our purpose is?
I know. It's all buried in the amnesia. It's cloaked in amnesia. So why is this amnesia there, making us really work harder to find out what that was?
It's to make sure that what you choose to make a difference is what's the highest burning desire in your soul.
Okay, so there's a lot, here's what I'm getting. There's a lot of purposes. There's a lot of ways that I'll talk to you, Kathy, that Kathy could make a difference, all right? But what one is the strongest? What one is the most burning urge for you to pursue? And what happens is over time, here's how we find it. We find it by living our life, experimenting, doing things, doing different things. And throughout our life, we eliminate a lot of things. It's a process of elimination, okay? While we find a few things that feel right, people that feel right, a whole lot of people who don't feel right, you know? So it's kind of digging through all that to finally get to what's important to us in this lifetime. For us to discover what that is, let's let the guides talk. I feel like they just want to say something right here.
It's exactly that. If you came in knowing what you were supposed to do to make a difference in the world, you may criticize it. You may think, I can't do that, or don't want to do that, because it would take too long to become proficient at it. It would take so long that I would lose interest along the way. It has to be self-realized as you improve your knowledge.
That's why there's no mistakes. Everything that you go through, well, it was a waste of time. I should have never married that person. I never should have worked at that job. I never should have bothered with that education. These are all the ways we find our way, okay? If we hadn't gone through all that and moved it out of the way, we wouldn't see what's important to us. Here's another thing. When we have to strive and really work at finding what that is, because we need to know, we all want to know what that is, we appreciate it when we find it. And we become, what happens in the struggle from here to there and us getting there is we learn about ourselves. So it's a whole bunch of things. It's not just going after that goal and there we are, and that's what we came here to do. So dagnabbit, just point me that way and I'll go that way. And let's be done with all this, these distractions. But that's not how it works. The person who meets up with why you came here is different than the person who first came here. Okay, get me on this. It's different than the person who first came here that didn't really know what it was. It was kind of in there, but it wasn't apparent what it was, because you did have to go through all these little challenges and everything that you had to go through, heartbreaks, loves, everything that you had to experience to learn who this was. Remember, this is the amnesia you came in with. You've got to learn who you are first before you know what you came here to do. It's you have to learn about first. Otherwise, you're not present. And if you're not present, you, the real you, is not present, then what you came here to do will never be realized, because you haven't forged through all that effort to find out what that is, all right? It's interesting how that works.
Veronica has an interesting question. Why do people sometimes feel unsatisfied even when they have made a difference?
Well, it could be like what I said. It could be where they didn't really have to work at it, Veronica. Okay, maybe they were given so much in their life. They didn't have to struggle to learn who this is that wants to make a difference. They didn't have to work hard to get to that person first. That person has to be there. You, the real you, has to be there, or you're not present to be full in the experience of making that difference. Okay? It could be that. It could also be, it's never one thing, right? It could also be that person, they made a difference, but they feel like they didn't do enough.
Yeah.
They want to do more. And maybe they don't have let's say the funds to do what they want to do. They feel like they need the money to do it or something, when they really just need to be there for somebody, or give their time, and they feel like they don't have enough time, so they can't give enough. I mean, some people came here to give so much. It was all about giving for them. So that could be a life that is kind of tormented with serving. All right?
You look back on the philanthropist angle. They made a lot of money, and they give their money away. They give their money to good causes.
Yeah.
But I would say that a lot of the philanthropists, so-called philanthropists, would give their money away to avoid paying taxes on a lot of it.
You mean for a tax edge?
For a tax edge. I mean,
right.
I'm sure a lot of them are driven by that, by their financial advisors. Now, look at the philanthropist who feels that he's giving his money away to good causes, but they're worried about, am I going to have enough to live the rest of my life if I keep doing this?
Okay, so what's your point on that one?
There has been philanthropists. I forget who it was, but by the time he was 40 years old, he'd made millions in the steel business or something. It was one of the famous ones. And he stopped, took all his money, and for the next 40 years, he figured out ways he could give it all away. So he wouldn't have anything left when he died.
So what's your point?
So the point is, he was given a gift, and he gave it back. He wasn't worried about, am I not going to have enough at the end of my life?
Right.
He wanted to give away his last dollar, the day before he died.
Well, and really, that's what most people would like to do. They'd like to do something where they had the ability to help humanity or animals or whatever it happens to be in some way that really did make a difference and carried on after they left. We all have a different way of doing that. You don't have to be a gazillionaire to be a philanthropist. You
No.
don't. I mean, it could be the smallest thing, but it's just a matter. What else do we have there? Any other questions over there, Ray?
Yeah, man. And the basis, how do we know what we hear? What we're here to do to make a difference? Well, we kind of touched on that before. It's what you're drawn to.
Yeah.
If you had, let's say you could do something, you wouldn't have to worry about money. You just do it because you love to do it. That would be something your heart would be in to make a difference.
Read your question again.
How do we know what we're here to do to make a difference?
Okay, let's let them answer that. We're going to let the guides answer that.
It's most likely not what you told people you wanted to be when you grew up as a child. If so, the world would have become overloaded with policemen and firemen and doctors
And nurses.
and nurses.
And school teachers.
Yes. And ballet stars. If you had a calling, an urge to do something that meant a lot to you and would benefit mankind, you probably had this urge very strongly around the age of 19 or in your late teens, early 20s. What happened to that urge? Did you become interrupted? And did that calling get put on the back burner because you got married, you joined the military, you moved away? What did you do that derailed your dream?
Okay, I'm going to share something with you guys and to kickstart your thinking on this, all right? Because this age 19 thing is huge. At age 19, and you've all read Guided, but I'll just recap for a moment so it'll jar your memory for yourselves, all right? At age 19, my guides came through and told me that my marriage wouldn't work out, and that I needed to find my own way. And then they pointed me in a direction that I just went all in, okay? Now that was a part of my journey. Like I explained earlier in this session tonight. It was a part of my journey that let me remember and know who I am, okay? It let me experience success in a major way, okay? Up to that point, nothing in my life was successful. The family I grew up in, I was set up for failure, not success. So I got hit with this huge amount of opportunity and success, and I hit that window just right. The timing, like Ray talked about, was right. but it wasn't the be all end all. It was my yellow brick road. It was my journey, my, connecting the dots to my life that would help me learn about myself and heal my anger. I had a lot of anger from that childhood, being stuck in it, and I couldn't get out of it for 16 years. So that was my journey. That was how I learned to really connect with who I was and release the things that were working against me. That was guidance moving me through that, putting me in a position where I could actually work through the anger while I was being successful, while I learned so many things about myself and the world, right? But it wasn't the be all end all. Look what I do now. Look how different my life is. Look what I do all the time. That has nothing to do with home building and construction and architecture, which was my life in the 20s. But it was my yellow brick road. It's how I got to where I'm at and learned about myself, all right, and solved some things that were major so I could heal that and be more present to move forward, all right? So it goes back to that, you guys. At 19, that was what I moved into because I followed the guidance. Did I know and understand the whole thing? No, I didn't. I didn't know. I just knew the guidance was true. I knew the guidance I could follow, and it was never let me down. So I went that way, and I went all in. So you have to ask yourself, did you choke up? Did you just do something that you thought, well, that sounds like it might be all right. I'll go to college and I'll learn about that, but whatever. And you didn't really have an urge to do it. It still was not a mistake. It will still serve you in some way, in some piece, okay, going forward. Like the project, I'm a natural builder is what I am. That if I was to describe who I am from this world, I'm a natural builder. I built homes, and now I built a project, and they say that architects are natural writers, authors. So I started writing books, and I just went with what was a natural flow for me, from where they guided me, moving through age 19, experiencing all that, winding up to be 30, and then moving through dream classes, and I found my way. This is what your life is like, you guys. You find your way through living it, through not hiding from it, through going all in and following your guidance, even if you don't understand it. As you're moving through it, this is how you become present. You become you. And when that happens, look out, world. Look out. You're going to make a difference because you've got it all together now. You worked through all the trials and tribulations, all the loves and the heartbreaks. You've learned everything you've needed to learn to be that valuable person that's going to make that difference.
Going back through your construction business, one reason you were successful and you could build things and you could move on to the next thing and be successful is you were open to the new experience. You didn't want the real estate, the building career to end. Your guys told you to get out. What, right at the height of the market was white hot. You'd never made that much money in your life, and they said, don't do that anymore.
I know.
Well, most people would not say, okay, I won't do this anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do, but if you say not to do it anymore, I won't do it anymore. You have to be open to the next experience. Most people would stay in what they're making a lot of money with, because that's why they started doing it.
I did stay in it. While I did these other things, because I didn't know, I wasn't ready to move into what I do now. And I hadn't even met Ray yet, you guys. How could I do it? That's a huge one for me. That's really huge. I talk about that in part 4 of Guided. That was huge for me when I met Ray. And what it did is it allowed the rest of me to come out. Having Ray in my life, he supported me so strongly, and guidance sent him in. They literally put him in on my path and right in my face. All right. So, You just have, and did it feel comfortable? No. I didn't need a man in my life. I had all the money I needed. I didn't need a man in my life. So, I mean, I was real comfortable pushing that away, right? But I wasn't going to get away with it, right?
Apparently it didn't work very well.
That's right. So, guidance will move you where you're supposed to go. That's why it's real important to write this guidance down as you're moving through it so that you don't feel you can continue to move that way. Otherwise, you will stop. You'll pull back and go, oh, I don't think so. I'm afraid of that. You've got to get through that. You got to heal that fear. You got to move through those blocks that you have. All right. Especially when you have guidance moving you that way, and it's not you that's making this stuff up.
Right. Okay. Kathy has a comment about what we said to her before. She felt she had to get to the right vibration in order to know what she came to do here.
Right. And so Kathy, I'm going to speak for Kathy now. Kathy is a master Reiki, a master. And so she connects with energy. And how did she say that again, right? Vibration.
She had to get to the right vibration in order to know what she came here to do.
Right. So Kathy had to, it's like a tuning fork. Kathy, as a little girl, growing up to a young lady, to a young woman, to a mom, and all that, she had to learn who she was. She had to learn what that vibration was, that very sensitive part of Kathy. So it aligned with her life. And then when that alignment took over and she experienced this presence that she is, this high vibration that she learned to master and help others with, through, from, she's still on her journey. Kathy, you're still on your journey. You're still moving that way. All right?
Okay, Rebecca joined us. Rebecca again. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi,
Rebecca has two questions, but I think the most important one is the second one. Why do we have to have a veil put over us in the first place?
Why do we have to have a veil put over us?
So we can't remember.
Yeah, I got it. We're going to ask the guides about that. I want to get one thing out so I don't forget to do this. Let's see here. And we're going to answer that for her. Okay, there we go, right here. Trying to find something. The guides told me this is really, really good. Let me see if I can find this one. There's a picture associated with it, so I should be able to find it fairly easy here. This way. Entertain them right while I'm doing this.
And now a word from our sponsors.
I just have to find this. This is going to really help these guys. I'm going to write out a guided.
Well, these are great questions today, by the way.
You guys are doing a great job. Why can't I find? I can't even see the pictures in here, right?
You'll be able to find it as soon as we
As soon as
sign
we
off.
finish, yeah. Ay. Oh, here it is. Okay. In guided, I just have to bring this up since it's coming up so much tonight in tonight's session. This has to do with Papa Pablo. This is the shaman in Peru. When I went to Peru in January of 2001, okay? And he, way up in the
Andes.
In the Andes, yeah. And he told me, here's his session he did for me in the cocoa leaf reading he did. He was amazing. He said, and I'm just going to read this one part here. Okay. I also recognized in his words that the work I will be doing going forward would be what had been building momentum my entire life. Like the car, it was always moving me in that direction. I've always thought things through and taken good care of my health. Okay, so here's what he said. You work like a man, okay, your parents didn't tell you the right things. Here's what he said. You are on the right path. Your work is like a well, a vortex of energy collectively moving together in the right direction. Like getting into a car and starting to drive where you are going, you think a lot. And then he said, your health is good and love is not soon. And they were right. I didn't meet Ray until 2004. This was January of 2001. So he was right. So what he was saying is, it's like driving a car and starting to drive where you're going. And it's like a well. It keeps building, okay, and it keeps building. I had to read that out of here because this part, page 268, this part is what all of us experience. It's how we find where we're going, but we've got to keep going on that yellow brick road where the urge is driving us to go, and being true to it, even if it feels scary sometimes to follow that guidance, even if it's uncomfortable. It's been uncomfortable for me many times, okay? But you know, I had to go that way. I had to honor that guidance because I knew it may not show up tomorrow, next week, or even next year, but it's taking you in the right direction, way better than had you planned it yourself. So let's let the guides answer that in addition to what I just read. Because it's
so our question was, why do you have to have a veil in the first place?
It's pretty much the same question as the amnesia.
Right. If you didn't have this veil, you wouldn't need free will. You would just know everything. You'd know what to do without question. It's in the learning where you find what experiences you want to follow. It's in the experiences, especially ones you didn't expect, where the greatest lessons live.
I tell you, it's so true. The ones that catch you off guard and you're just like, you know, it could be awesome, way better than you thought. When I turned 19 and my career took off, I was like, oh my God, I get to do this, all this, and no one tells me what to do, and I get to do it the way I want to do it. Wow. That was totally cool, okay? Oh, yeah, I made a lot of money at it. I mean, that was really just a byproduct of that. And that comes and goes, you guys. You make money, you spend money, or you get taxed, or your kids, you send them to college, and, you know, pretty soon the money's gone anyway. So it's really about the experiences and getting who you are as you move through it, and healing the parts of you that are hurt, and solving that so that you are full and you are present for the difference that you're going to make, the example that you become. It's everything, you guys. It's not just one thing. It's all this that collects. What the shaman told me, it's like collecting all this as I'm moving in the right direction. That car keeps taking me in that same direction to my destination, just like you guys. So don't think it's a stop, start. It's a process. That's why, you guys, when you write this stuff down in your journal and you track your progress, your journey, my guided journey, all right, you're going to see what it is. You really are.
Okay. Anime, as a little follow on here, then why do we have to go through so many hard lessons before you realize what it is?
Okay, I'm going to say, Anime, how come, I'm going to direct this at you so you get some real some substance out of this answer. Why did Anime have to go through these hard lessons?
It's all about learning so you don't have to relearn again. It's the karmic madness and karmic lessons you have experienced that make you who you are right now. Once these tough lessons are learned, you won't have to repeat them.
Okay, so you came here, Anime, to get a lot of work done. You really loaded up your plate with a lot to deal with in this lifetime. In fact, I'm going to tell you that your guides, your spirit guides and angels, as you guys were all planning this together before you were born into this world this time around, they even told you, they said, you know, Anime, are you really up for all these? Do you want to put this much on your plate? Are you sure you want to do this? And you know what you said? Yes. I've done this so many times now. I've been back and forth. You know, I've come and gone. I've had all these lifetimes, and I'm tired of this. I want to learn it. I want to learn it, as much of it as I possibly can in this one lifetime. That you guys are going to help me with, the guides, the spirit guides and the angels, that you're going to follow me into this life to help me resolve. Know that they're there. You're never alone. And that you are always being guided. And they said, okay, we're with you. We're right there with you. But you know what, Anime? You've got to take those steps. You've got to walk that way. You've got to write that down. You've got to write these things down, because you put a lot on your plate. You're going to get it done if you're paying attention, if you're writing it down. If you're not writing it down, you'll get some of it, but you'll leave still, you know, having to come back and do this rest of it. So, you know, I know that you want to get it done, and you picked a lot of hard lessons, but you know what? There's no way you would have put that on your plate if you couldn't have done it and handled this, especially with the help of your guides. All right? So, Ray, how are we doing over there?
What's going on next week?
Okay, you guys. So, we're going to have a closing message from the guides tonight on our topic, you came here to make a difference. But before we do that, we're going to talk about what we're going to do, what's going on tomorrow. Tomorrow, Wednesday, April 17th at 6 p.m. Pacific time, I will be performing a live coaching session right here on my Facebook page at Linda Deir Author. Using my latest book, My Guided Journey, the companion journal to Guided, experience what a one-on-one personal angel coaching session with me is like. Before the spirit guides bring through their closing message tonight, we want to let you know about next Tuesday, April 23rd. Join Linda Live right here on my Facebook page at Linda Deir Author. This will be a Q&A and commentary with me and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so don't miss it. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, my spirit guides will be talking about the one investment that always pays off. How do you invest your money? And do not say that you do not have any money to invest. In addition to money, your time is a base value in this world. How much of these valuable assets do you invest in learning about who you are and why you are here? People say they don't have any money to invest in the stock market. They also say they don't have any time to improve themselves or any time left over to be spiritual. That is false, because you are already spiritual. You came in that way. These two assets of time and money are when invested in you, will bring a huge return that will snowball throughout your life.
Well, that sounds like pretty exciting.
Okay, so that's going to be next week. And I want to cover a few things on this. before we move on to the closing message?
Sure.
Okay, so investing your time and money. Here's where I come from with this one. I have a real special affinity to this session about the one investment that always pays off. You live this life, you come in and you live this life and you do all these things and you make a living. You specialize in something you do and everybody knows you for that one thing. They pigeonhole you. That's what you do. What do you do? Oh, I'm a realtor. What do you do? I'm an attorney. What do you do? You know, everybody, but that's not who they are and that's not why they're here, okay? But that's what they do while they're here. And then they get older and they retire, and then they've never done any of the things, the urges that they wanted to do. Maybe they bought a boat or they bought a new car or RV to go travel the country or whatever. But they're really, they really haven't gotten down to what's important to them, okay? Why they came here. So let me go back to this. The only investment, this is the one investment that always pays off. It's the only investment that pays off because when you leave this planet, when you're released from this world, the only thing that was real while you were here are the things that you can take with you. So if you can't take that great big house with you, or that bank account, or that boat, or whatever, okay, you can't take that stuff with you, then why overdo it while you're here? Just working to have all this stuff, just living in this world and totally missing the connection you came in with, all that mystery and that you-ness, you, the real you. Why didn't you spend any time getting to know who that is? Because that's who you take with you, except when you leave this world. Whatever you learned in this world, whatever you did to polish up your act, to be more than you were before you got here, is the only thing you take with you. So why would you overdo it in the physical world to have all this stuff and spend all your energy and time just to have all this stuff and accumulate all this stuff and have all this? What's the point? You can't take it with you. The only thing you can take with you is the person that you became from experiencing all these things in your lives. The struggle that you went through to make a difference, like we talked about tonight. That's what you take with you. That's why you came here, to resolve all that, like Anime was talking about tonight. How come all those hard experiences? Because Anime, you came here. The person who came here, you, is going to be very different than the person who's released from this world when it's time to move on. Because of everything that you put yourself through to learn what you came here to learn, to become the person that you're becoming, the real you. Okay, that's who you take with you. That's what you take with you. Okay? I love this session, the one we're going to have next week. I never could understand why people just, give it all up just to have stuff in this world. It's overrated, you guys.
Then there was the invention of the credit card, and now you can just buy stuff you couldn't pay for.
It's really madness, So get a balance in that, and both worlds, bring both worlds together so you can have a full life, a life that makes sense, a superior life, an intelligent life. Okay? So the spirit guides and angels are going to close the session with the insight. You came here to make a difference, and here they go.
It would certainly be easy if you came here knowing what to do to make a difference. But that doesn't happen. It would be easier, though, if people started thinking about making a difference when they were younger, before they got distracted and disconnected. This is why you should never ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? The only frame of reference a child has is what they've seen or heard other children say, or their own family. If Grandpa was a lawyer and Daddy is a lawyer and my brothers and sisters are all lawyers, I guess I should be a lawyer. But maybe that's not how that child will make a difference. Instead, ask children, what problems would you like to solve in the world? This will redirect the conversation from the child thinking, what company do I have to go work for to make a lot of money, to what is it I need to learn?
You know, when you go back, I wrote it and guided. Chapter 1, the earliest memories I had in this world, I remember how my family was, it was chaos. It was madness in the family. And there was always something going on, something blowing up, drama, trauma. And I just thought to myself, they're making this harder than it needs to be. It's not supposed to be this hard. Look what I do now. See what I do now? I write these books and I explain this to people. I show them a way, their path, so that the struggle is released. Once you know who you are, you guys, once you connect with that, and you are then present. You can't be present unless you know who that is. And you can't know who that is until you work through the struggle, like the clam that gets the piece of sand lodged in it. And it's in its pure environment. All of a sudden there's this foreign matter and it just keeps pushing away at it. Get out of here. And it's aggravated and it's annoyed and it keeps pushing away at it until that becomes a pearl. That's all your effort. That's all of your intention and your focus on paying attention to what does bother you. Okay, that could be what you wind up doing. That's what I did. It started from the beginning. Okay, and the merry-go-round and how I've seen everybody giving up and letting go and they're missing the point. Okay, and yeah, we're all on the merry-go-round, you guys. We're on the karmic ride again. Together, okay, we're on it, but we're here to become more than we were before we got here. We're here to master ourselves, but you've got to be present first. And to do that, like you all talked about, why the struggle? Why the veil? Why is it so hard? Why the amnesia? Why all that? It's to find you first. Because until that happens, you can't make a difference because you're not present. That's you that has to squeeze that out. That clam that got that piece of sand lodged in there, that's making that beautiful pearl. That's you. Okay? Until that emerges, you don't have any power to do anything. You really don't. You're still working it out. All right?
Still looking outside for all this stuff that you think it's going to make you happy. Once you get it, then I'll be happy.
See, that's the
Once I
distraction.
get the money,
That's the stuff that's dealt up and from this world. It's like dealing cards to you. Boom, 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 boom. When you're trying to remember, this part of you is very gentle. It's very, it's calm. It's just waiting for you to be ready. It doesn't push itself on you. It's patient. It loves you. It's your soul. It's your guides. It's your connection. This world shouts at you. It wants you to do all this stuff, expects you to. It's got a lot of hype in it. So if you feel a lot of that, you need to pull back from that to bring this into balance so you can start to come into the picture, okay? Yeah.
3 words. Stop the seeking.
It's not out there.
It is. It's inside, like the clam.
Right. That's right. That's right. And that's you guys. And you guys are an awesome burl.
Yep, they are. All right.
Okay, you guys, we will see you maybe tomorrow on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock. And next Tuesday, definitely. Don't miss.
All right. Be kind.